Session at 7:04 and reconvene the Board of Education open session meeting. Brian, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I will. You all stand, please. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Got confused.
Let the record show all are present tonight. In the closed session, we talked about the items that are on that agenda, and we took no actions. For order of business, we have one change we would like to make. We want to move up agenda item 1819-5072, which is action item number 8 under the action items. And we're going to put that right after Mr. Garcia's update on the performing arts. Are there any other changes to the agenda?
There are not, President Gilbert.
All right. Could I get a motion to approve the regular minutes of the last board meeting?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Huff, please take the vote.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board President Gilliland?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right. Board member reports. Ms. Lockerbie, I believe you have a report.
Oh, I just wanted to mention that this coming July through the 14th, the Louise T. Kaler Performing Arts will be presenting Mary Poppins. I know that Patrick Garcia is here and we'll be talking about that and all of the other wonderful things. I hope that everyone can come out and see it. It's going to be supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. And I also wanted to mention that we have arts in Monrovia, and we have arts in Monrovia because of the school district and the school board and these board members. And if your child or your student is in one of these productions, that's fabulous and that's exciting. But that is not the only way for our students to experience the arts. And being able to go to one of these amazing productions and witness everything that goes on is a learning experience as well. And I just wanted to thank Mr. Garcia for bringing that to our school district and our community, because it really is special, and I hope that everyone can make it out, and I hope that all of the kids, young and old, can come. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hammond.
Just one question. Is there anybody on this dais who happens to be doing things for Poppins?
I refuse to answer on the grounds
Just
that
wondering?
it may incriminate
Okay.
me.
This last week I attended a PLC conference in San Diego, and PLC is Professional Learning Communities. And the idea behind professional learning community is each body in this environment has a very specific job to do that is with respect to their job duties, but there's an overarching, and that is the collective good of the community. In a learning community, it's student-centered. Everything is done for the benefit of the student. A number of the breakout sessions, all the administrators from our district were there, as well as the entire staff from Canyon Oaks High School. In the breakout sessions where you really got into the meat of what was happening, there were a number of great things to walk away from. And while our district has been using PLC for the last 4 years, I would say that we are not fully developed yet on what our PLC is. And now that we have had every administrator in our district see what a fully functioning, award-winning PLC campus can look like, it's nothing less than astonishing to be able to see it. And I'm going to give a presentation as soon as we get back to school, and I'll give it here in the boardroom. I think it's worth seeing, but I will say this because it left an indelible mark upon me. is that there was a principal that came into a high school, and this school happened to be in Texas, but it could be a school anywhere. And he was new to the school, so he gets the new day jitters just like everybody else. He wants to know where he fits into the school. The teachers want to know how he fits in. The other administrators need to know how he fits in. And he left them with a message on his very first day that stuck with me from the presentation that I saw. And that is, he wanted his staff, the entire administration team, the entire teaching team, the entire ground crew team to have this one thought in mind, that every student at that school had his last name. And when you think about that, that is a very powerful statement, because do we not treat the people that have the same last name as we do a little differently than the people who don't have the same last name? And his message to his crew, to his team, to everybody that was in his sphere was, every student here has my last name. And I'm going to give you a presentation on it when we get back to school, because it's going to drive the point home. But I want to let you know, it was an incredible, probably the best conference I've ever been to in my life. In over 21 years in office, I have been to a number, and this one I walked away from. It wasn't just the kernel that you get from something. There were full-blown adult plants already in those breakout sessions. It was fantastic.
We'll look forward to that, and we'll look forward to Mary Poppins also. Dr. Therosian.
Thank you, President Gill and members of the board. Let me also just follow up and say that the administrators and teachers who attended the conference were inspired. And I'll be meeting with many of the administrators, whoever's really available, next week, just so that we can debrief and look about how we can implement those next steps. So everybody is really excited about the possibilities. On another note, I'd like to share the Certificate of Congressional Recognition by Congresswoman Grace Napolitano for our unwavering focus on mental health and the supports that we provide. I'll just pass this around for you to know.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Therosian. Public comments. Are there any public comments for items not on the agenda? Ms. Huff?
The budget went
There are
up in
none.
Washington, D.C. on
Seeing
presentations.
none out there? Are there any for items that are on the open session agenda?
There are none.
Seeing none, we'll move on to Performing Arts Update. Mr. Garcia, love to have you here and hear about our great programs.
Okay, so this way. All right. Okay. Can y'all hear me? Good evening, everybody. It's so nice to be here. This is my 2018-2019 board update for the arts for Monrovia Unified School District. And so one of the things that is so amazing here in Monrovia is that we really do make the arts happen. This is a grouping of some of our community partners, and I'll just point out one in particular. The Pasadena Symphony Organization this year provided 50 tickets for us to attend 3 concerts, and that was because of a relationship that I built while I was at Rotary. And so our kids have had an opportunity to attend the Pasadena Symphony Orchestra 3 times this year, which is terrific. Also, we put our 5-year strategic plan in place 5 years ago, and so this next school year, we'll be starting our second 5-year strategic plan for the arts, and we'll be looking to put our team together and get that plan underway at the early part of the school year so that we really can provide arts for all of our students. I wanted to point out a couple of our programs and some of our successes from 2018-2019. First of all, we've had a huge growth in our elementary music program, which is terrific. I don't know if you guys have seen the elementary choir, but it is enormous. And they wear their lime green t-shirts for the Superstars of Music Showcase. But the other thing that's really great is that we've taken a very intentional focus, giving our kids more opportunities to perform. For example, with Monrovia Days this last year, all of our ensembles performed, and it was really, really fantastic. Speaking of Superstars of Music Showcase, this is our huge concert that we do once per year. It's a big deal. All of our folks from the community come out to see this. It's a fundraiser for our arts program, but we also showcase more than 600 of our music students in Monrovia, and it's just a lovely, lovely night. This year we also had a very special celebration for Tony Ellis, who's retiring after 33 years of wonderful service. Another thing that we're doing this year is we're doing Summer Music Institute, but this summer it's not going to just be Summer Music Institute, it's going to be Summer Music and Theater Institute. It's going to be at Santa Fe this summer from 9 to 12, August 5th through the 9th. And one of the things that's great about this is we're able to do this free of charge for our kiddos, which is great. So those are for students entering 4th grade through entering 8th grade. You can come on out and do instrumental music, theory, rhythm, sight singing, and theater. It's going to be a lot of fun. You know, we've had some growth here in our dance program this year. We brought in conga kids this year, and Brad Oaks was actually invited to be part of their finalists. So this picture on the left up here are our kids at Brad Oaks. That's down at LA Live. And I was there. It was an absolutely incredible night for Brad Oaks. We also brought out California Dance Institute this year, and so that was at the other 2 elementary schools. So I'm delighted to say that all 5 of our elementary schools had dance this year. But I'm also very, very proud of our high school dance department as well. They've won awards this year, and we have an absolutely incredible dance teacher there. She's amazing. I'm going to skip to our Masterpiece Mural project with Shannon Fitzpatrick. Shannon is also the artist that worked with our students to paint all of the pictures that are here in the boardroom. Honestly, Shannon has helped us to build an incredible relationship with the Huntington, and so we are considered to be one of their most valued community partners. These are our kids from Brad Oaks this year at the Huntington, and I also wanted to put up a couple of the paintings that Shannon has helped us with this year. And there's Shannon at the Huntington, and that's the slide they put up when they put our partnership up. It says Monrovia Partnership. So that was really nice. Also, we offer art every week to all of our 4th and 5th grade students, and we had an amazing teacher in that position this year. That itinerant teaching, when you're going from school to school, she's at all 5 schools. Sarah Gutkind was fantastic. She did a great job, and there she is standing with a couple of our friends from the Monrovia Duarte Black Alumni Association. We just recently went down to Laco and did our final with our TEAL project for this year, and TEAL stands for Technology Enhanced Arts Learning. And so TEAL is a project that was put together by Laco to help school districts to provide arts integration. And so I'm really proud of this picture here because that's Gabby Canedo from Monroe, and she's up there performing in front of all of these, bigwig colleagues at Laco, as well as many of our other Monrovia coaches that went with me to that. It was a really lovely day. The picture to the right there, that's on the Common Day of Learning with our staff. We did 5 breakout sessions on arts integration at the Common Day of Learning. And these are just pictures of what arts integration looks like in Monrovia. Also, another one of our wishes on our list was to have an arts school here in Monrovia, so that was part of our 5-year strategic plan for the arts, and so we were delighted this year when the board said that that was something that they were interested in as well. And so Wild Rose is our creative school of the arts, and these were 2 theater productions that they were involved in this year. I'll just talk about the one on the left quickly. So Wild Rose received a grant from Center Theater Group to work with Disney for the next 3 years, and so this is them performing at the Amundsen Theater in downtown Los Angeles, and it was a spectacular event. These are other theater opportunities that we had in Monrovia this year. At Santa Fe, they did Once Upon This Island, and there they are performing at Monrovia Days. We also had High School Musical Junior at Clifton, and I have to give a big shout out to my friend Nate Overby at Monrovia High School. I don't know if you know about the awards that are given out for high school theater, but they're called the Jerry Herman Awards. And so this year, Monrovia High School tied with LACSA for most number of nominations. We got 8 nominations, and we also tied with LACSA for most number of wins. We won 2 awards this year.
And
so
what does LACSA stand for again?
LA School of the Arts. Sorry. Yeah, LA School of the Arts. So it was really exciting, and Nate is doing an absolutely superb job. This was our gala this year. I thought I'd put a picture up of the board. So we had a very successful event on May 15th at the Doubletree. This was our 3rd annual gala. We also had 15 special events that we did in our department this year, so I'll talk just quickly about the 2 pictures here. The first one there is Annie, and that was our December production, and it was a wonderful production because so many of our kids had an opportunity to perform. Uh-oh, did I say something? No.
I was looking for a picture of Sandy.
Ah, you were. Yes, yes. Your dog got a chance to play Sandy in the show. The picture below is a picture of our art festival. We had 2,000 pieces of art this year. We had our most successful art festival to date this year with our friends at Monrovia Duarte Black Alumni Association. And again, this is a picture of us at the Huntington. I can't say enough about that partnership. Just quickly, you've probably heard me talk about this before, but what happens is the kids, they paint this original piece of art with our artist in residence, Shannon Fitzpatrick. They're given an opportunity to then go and see that original piece of art at the Huntington, and then the Huntington invites them to come back throughout the summer with their family. So they get a pass where they can bring themselves and 4 family members back so that they can come back and actually be the teachers to their family about what they learned. And it's extremely powerful, and we have a wonderful relationship with the Huntington. I also wanted to just put some financials up there for you. So this first piece here, this was the funds that were raised this year for art, music, and dance. That includes money that was brought in from foundations and nonprofits, grants, and then music donations from Superstars of Music, total of $140,620. And then we've also got theater, revenue and expenses. So we've got our theater donations, we've got our expenses for the gala, and our total of $111,126. We then moved to our revenue and expenses for our rentals. And so we had a carryover last year of just over $40,000, or almost $41,000 rather. Brought in a revenue of $294,540 minus the $11,219 that we give back to Monrovia High School, and then add in the salaries, benefits, and supplies for $281,834. So an ending balance of $42,309 that we're carrying over this year. Mary Poppins. So we're very, very excited about this. The FOI people who fly all of the folks for the Tony Awards, for Vegas, for Broadway musicals, they are coming out to help us fly Mary Poppins, and it's going to be a great show. We've cast some amazing people. Miss Lockerbie is in the show, which is very, very nice. She is going to be the Bird Woman, and she has a song that she's going to sing. So I'll tell you what's great about that, guys, is that we have folks in our community that come out and are a part of these productions. So we have students, we have 8 elementary students from Monrovia that are in the production, as well as 4 existing or former Monrovia High School students. I think we've got 15 Monrovia High School students helping backstage with the crew. But we also bring out industry professionals. Our Mary Poppins is absolutely amazing. She's magical on stage and off. Thank you so much. The board is always so incredibly supportive of the arts, and I feel so fortunate and so lucky to work for a school district like Monrovia, where I feel like the arts are valued and appreciated. Thank you.
And thank you. We certainly appreciate all you do, Patrick. You've led that program from the time we were so desperately looking for money to not have to cut everything. But I do have one question for you.
Sure.
Are the registrations closed for the Summer Music Institute?
No,
not
at all.
If somebody watching this said, "Oh, I would like to get my child in that," who could they contact?
Yep. Great question. So if you would like to be a part of Summer Music Institute, you just need to give our office a call, and Jackie, my assistant, will call you back. You can reach her at 626-471-2032, or you can email her at jcguerrero@monroviaschools.net. Thank you. Yeah.
If I could,
Thanks so much.
and if I could just,
Oh,
I'm sorry,
wait,
Patrick.
I'm sorry, we have some comment.
Is that for all grades or specific grades?
Entering 4th grade through entering 8th grade.
Okay, great.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, you guys.
All right, thanks again. That was great. We'll move on to item 1819-5072, an agreement with VMA. Dr. Thorosian.
Thank you, President Gillen, members of the board. About 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, when we faced this devastating loss in enrollment, we thought about how to better promote our programs, the magical things that we really do on campuses and for our students. And one of the outgrowths of that in terms of promoting our district was contracting with an organization focused on marketing, and that's VMA, Valerie Martinez and Associates. We have with us Val and Andrea Garcia. I do want to make sure that we acknowledge that Andrea is in our office at least once a week, helping keep us going with press releases and updates and making sure that she understands how this district operates, so that she understands the flavor of it. But to give you the breadth and scope of the work that VMA has done for us, Val has crafted a brief presentation.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity to provide this update. There's so much happening in this district, and it's been such a pleasure to be able to be the giant megaphone for the district, telling the community, reminding them about the many, many wonderful things that are happening, and that, you know, that we've had a great time being able to move this program forward. And I can't say enough about Andrea Garcia, who is here and is, you know, constantly on the phone or emailing or texting with Kathy to make sure that we are on top of what's happening and we're able to push that information out into the community. So with that, I'm going to just work through a real brief presentation so that we give you a nice overview of what we're doing, because there's a lot. Our mission, just a little bit, some of you don't know much about BMA Communications, just really briefly, we're a policy-based communications firm, and I always say that because we're not fluffy. We don't sit there and just push out, you know, the lightweight information about, you know, what the kids are doing. What we do is really focus on, yes, there's a lot of varying levels of what's happening in this district. There are extracurriculars, but the extracurriculars are done with intention. This is a strong academic program, and we push out information that illustrates that. We make sure that we talk about our dedicated teachers, our dedicated board, our focus on excellence. And so everything we do is strategic and, like I said, done with intentionality. We foster community engagement and awareness. We provide high-quality creative communications. But to me, that last part that's up there that's underlined is kind of the key to us. We implement communications programs to enhance the quality of life in the communities we serve, because we're clear that if people are aware of the solid program, the rigorous program that you have in your schools, that there is a trickle-down effect in terms of the quality of life in the community. And so with that, we help our school districts tell their story, and you have a tremendous story to tell. So why communicate? We have three comments up here, three elements that kind of speak to, you know, why this is important. Good communication with parents increases academic performance, supporting the instructional program. That is documented, it is a fact. Positive school branding improves students' self-esteem. Again, we've seen that over and over. It's not just anecdotal. The NEA backs that up. The Pew Institute backs that up. Reporting successes to the community fosters support and confidence in local schools. That is, without question, a truth. And I have this wonderful quote from the NEA that I like to share. When schools, parents, families, and communities work together to support learning, students tend to earn higher grades, attend school more regularly, stay in school longer, and enroll in higher level programs. And they go on to say that given these important benefits, it's clear that a focus on increasing community engagement should be a consistent goal for your school district. And so I always feel privileged that we're in that role, that we get to do that for Monrovia, to ensure that the community is aware of what's happening so that they can support the schools appropriately. Program summary. I have a lot of things listed here, and what the goal is to hit your community where they are. So some people are readers and they like seeing things in the mail. Some people like looking at their emails. Some people go on social media. And so what you see here is a very diverse program that hits people in a variety of platforms. So just to kind of illustrate, we always put together these books that show you what we've done. So each one is different. This is the marketing program, and this gives you a sense of how much we've actually put out that are marketing materials per se. And this one is your press clippings. Now, obviously, press clippings don't include if something was on TV or something along those lines. In some cases, we even miss some online elements, but you know. So Dr. Therosian has these two books on thumb drives, which we provided to you. We don't want to make a number of copies of these because obviously they're hefty, and we try to be sustainable. But it achieves my goal, and I tease Andrea about that look, we want to be able to prop doors open with the amount of work that we're able to report out later on. So, hopefully, mission accomplished. So as you can see, 43 media releases, 43 e-blasts to the community because we take those e-blasts and we send them out to the community, 177 social media posts, social media boosting and advertising. I believe we did 35 to 40 of those. We have a California School News inclusion as well as the podcasts, 7 school marketing sheets, event coordination and support for 6 different events. Messaging support and issue management, quarterly Monrovia Today messages, quarterly school news roll call, 12 superintendent's updates, a printed newsletter, and some small videos that we did in order to drive some discussion about programs. We also have a bunch of what I call mini vids, and I'll get into that in just a few, where video does really, really well on social media. So every once in a while we'll drop into a school, or if there's a program happening, we'll do something really simple and catch a little video component on our phones and edit that so that we make it look all pretty, and with some great language that talks about who the kids are, who the instructors are, what school it is, and then we post that. And a lot of times those are the ones that we boost, and you get some incredible outcomes from that. The school marketing sheets. The goal is ultimately to constantly roll through these and ensure that we're rolling through the entire district. What we do is kind of an on-year, off-year sort of thing, so that we're ultimately hitting everyone. But again, just realistically, we can't do them all in 1 year, so we did the 7. The info flyers highlight unique educational opportunities, enrichment programs, and student support services. We try to ensure that we're addressing the unique elements of each school. They're also used for little enrollment components, so they're strategically sent out with letters from principals to perhaps 5th graders who are transitioning over, students who are 8th graders going into Monrovia High School. And the principal sends out a letter with the info sheet saying, we're so excited to see you next year. And that really helps with that move over, both from the standpoint of feeling like part of the family, but also understanding that all of the schools are talking to one another. So just because you're moving from the middle school to the high school doesn't mean that you're suddenly starting all over. On some levels, of course you are. But from an academic standpoint, this is simply a continuation of the great work that you've already been doing. Event coordination support. We've done a variety of events. Sometimes we're doing the soup to nuts. Sometimes we're doing support. Sometimes there's oh my gosh, we need to really update our presentation deck. Can you help us spruce that up? Sometimes it's let's send out invitations, let's send out e-blasts, let's do the whole ball of wax and make sure that, the balloons are in the right place and the kids are spiffy for the event. The events that we've hit are the Budget Roadshow. Kathy was very interested in ensuring that everyone was clear about what is happening in the district on a variety of levels, and one of them is budget, so she wanted to make sure she was giving it that personal touch and going throughout the district and having that conversation. We provided the presentation deck for that. The new employee meeting, we provided a presentation for that as well, a presentation deck, so that she could help bring in and welcome very appropriately the new employees with that Monrovia hug. Wild Rose rededication. We did a flyer, program, invites, and we staffed the event, made sure that it was logistically appropriate, and moved that forward. For the dual language immersion program that accompanied that, there was a program that we put forward that included a postcard, a presentation deck, and a video. There was a realtor event. Again, the district, being wise, said, you know, there are people moving into this town, and one of the selling points should be our amazing schools, and that is absolutely correct. And so Dr. Therosian said, let's have a conversation with the realtors so that they're abundantly clear about how amazing our schools are. They have the appropriate sheets, the info sheets of the schools, so that, frankly, it helps them in marketing both the homes and the district. Again, we did a presentation deck for that, and of course there was a number of other collateral pieces that we provided from other, other parts of the program that she was able to provide. Monrovia's high school's 125th birthday. That was a huge blowout. That was awesome. We helped move that forward. We use it with the entire event coordination, all that sort of element. The Frank Jansen library dedication, again, we were deeply involved in that with invitations, the program, and the event coordination, as well as the alternative schools. Canyon Oaks Mountain Park library dedication. That was kind of a quick turn piece because of just trying to make sure that we were going to actually get the honorees there. But with that, we're twitching still a little bit. We got it done, and it was great, and the community loved it, and the honorees loved it, and everyone was high-fiving each other after that was done. So that was a really good, positive event. Videos, we've just lightly touched on that at this point. We did do a quick Wild Rose dual language immersion video in order to provide a different kind of tool for the principal and the staff to be able to provide on tours and for promotional purposes. It really had a really nice impact. And again, this was a quick turn piece that Andrea actually initiated because she said they need something else. It can't just be in writing. This one, it's so vibrant. We need testimonials. And so she worked really hard and pushed that forward. So that was tremendous. And then at the end of the year, we began work on, it's a two-part video that we're working on. That's the State of the District video that we'll be doing. The State of the District, the school district will be, and the board will be doing a State of the District in the coming months. And so there will be a nice video to go along with that. So we initiated the component surrounding graduation for that. And then again, I told you that we have the social media mini videos that are just the mini pieces that we go in and kind of string things together. Quick, designed to be, cost effective, but really create an effective opportunity and option when you're doing the social media component. California School News Report is a piece that we do that pushes out information to the media and, frankly, to colleagues up and down the state. The California School News Report is kind of a threefold component, well, fourfold actually. We send out a piece on Friday that goes to all media that says, here are the events that are happening in the coming week. And planning editors love it because they're able to look at it and say, okay, I don't know what's happening on Tuesday in general in terms of breaking news, but I know that there's an event at Wild Rose. So I'm going to plan that because I'll have something on my calendar. It's a good event. It's visual. These guys are pitching it. They know what they're doing. And, I don't just want mischief and mayhem on my news report. I want to make sure that I have something that speaks to community and positive. And we started it a few years ago, and I can't even speak to how effective it's been in terms of elevating our media coverage. The second component is a newsletter that goes out across the state to superintendents and school board members on Mondays. And basically it lays out our version of what happened last week, right? So we take those same snippets with a photo, with a cut line that basically says, you know, in this case, Monrovia High School, class of 2019 graduates, I can't read that because I'm 51 and I can't read anymore, but ready for change, ready to change the world. And so, you know, that, I can't tell you how often we get comments from other districts where they're saying, hey, they're doing really good things in XYZ district, and Monrovia typically is one of them, because you have the arts program, because you do have innovative programs and projects. The other aspect to California School News Report is the podcast. So I'll get into that in just a moment, because we're really, really, really excited. That we just launched in the fall, and we've had some really significant growth with that. We're getting a really great following at this point, and we've had a number of your folks on. And here it is, California School News Radio. And so we've done 6 podcasts that were dedicated to Monrovia. We highlighted Monrovia Days, Monrovia Elementary Olympics, the robotics program, Monrovia Fuzz Fest, and Wild Rose School of Creative Arts in DLI. And then Monrovia High Schools for their 125th anniversary, we did a big deal on them. I have to point out, for the Fuzz Fest, the person who actually is the host of our show is one of our staff, Kevin Osmus, and he, in fact, did the thing. He shaved his head. Of course, he tells me after the fact, after he's committed to do it, he says, by the way, I'm all in, I'm shaving my head. And I said, Kevin, you have to be presentable for clients, so please, you know. So he shaved it. It wasn't like shaved, he didn't bick it, but on behalf of Monrovia, he definitely raised some money, and he raised, I think he ended up raising about $500 because he hit us all up in the office. So go, Kevin. So again, we're pushing things out, and just so you know how we circulate that, again, it's been 6 times. And the podcast links are emailed to families. They're posted on the district website. They're posted to social media. They're available on iTunes and all the other relevant platforms. And then we also send it out via the California School News Report. So that newsletter I was telling you about, we actually include the links so that, again, it's circulated to the colleagues out there. In terms of goals moving forward, we're actually just dovetailing off the current work program because we're seeing some great success with that. Essentially what we're looking at doing, just high level, because a lot of what you're seeing we're going to continue to do. We're going to increase, but we are going to increase the digital deliverables for 2 reasons. One, they're effective, they're cost effective. And again, we are hitting a diverse group of people with those components, and particularly mothers of the age that you're looking for, mothers with kids. And so it's really critical that as we push out this information, we're hitting the target audiences for a variety of things. But what our research has shown is that it is oftentimes the mothers of the house who are making decisions about where their kids go to school, and we want to make sure that they're aware of the breadth of information, the breadth of programming that's happening here at Monrovia. We're going to continue our social media engagement and boosting. I'll show you, I have a thing that paper that I passed out to you a little earlier, so we'll go through that in just a moment. We'll continue to highlight program services via diverse platforms, support issue management with continued communications, and continue to target event coordination and support as needed. Before we get to, and then accountability. This is one form of accountability. We do mini versions of this on a monthly basis because we want to make sure that you know what's happening. So you get some clips. I think mostly what you get are links. And you get links to press releases, all those sorts of things, so you're able to hold us accountable, again, on a monthly basis. We also provide metrics where possible to ensure that, there's the truly measurable outcomes, and we want to make sure that you have those measures. And then, of course, we have a work plan that we work from, so that we're planning, and we tell you what we're going to do, we plan with you, and then, we implement what we plan. So before we get to questions, there is the one sheet that I passed out that shows you the metrics related to social media. If you take a look at that, Couple things I want to note. Your likes on your Facebook page, as this Facebook page focused, increased by 41%. So you went from 2729 to 3836, which is huge growth in a 12-month period. Your impressions were incredible. Over the course of the year, you had 1,113,814 impressions. Now, what are impressions versus reach? Because you have the two graphs on here. Impressions are people. The number of people, other way around. Reach is people, the number of people, individuals who you hit. Impressions is the number of time it shows up on computers. So the difference here is that reach is, say, me. Now, say I had a video where my son was highlighted. So because I'm going to watch it 2, 3, 5, 6 times, show all my coworkers and everything else, that's the difference. I'm reach, the 6 times is impressions. So that gives you that sense. The audience, as you can see, quadruples pretty consistently if, in fact, we're putting advertising behind it, so we're boosting. Facebook is very much a pay-to-play component at this point. So what you're seeing to the right with regard to the graphs, the blue is what happens organically. When we put money behind it and boost it and target our audience, that's when you get the yellow. So what you'll see, and this was an interesting, test, is in May, in order to cut back on some funds and kind of do some things, we did not boost the posts. So you can see that, May is flat. So if you're wondering, okay, well, what happens if we don't boost? What does that look like? That's what it looks like. Photos are powerful. We've definitely been posting a lot of photos. Your page is dynamic and active, and it looks like you. It's not just a bunch of retweets from, statewide organizations or local organizations. It truly is a Monrovia page. And the video posts consistently flourish, so that's why I'm saying that we're doing a lot of these mini videos that kind of push out this information. So again, both the reach and the impressions are fantastic, and we continue to grow. Occasionally we do like campaigns to grow our likes, but the other thing that we're doing is really pushing for people to move, to click on different things and go into your Monrovia website, where, again, it's all Monrovia all the time. If you want to register, you can do that. If you want to, enroll in a program, you can do that. And so the goal is to get them through Facebook into your website. And we're working through Google Analytics to refine that process as we speak. That's kind of our homework over the summer, to really refine that component. So, questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
On your school marketing sheets, they were beautifully illustrated. I mean,
Thank you.
absolutely fabulous. I received one in the mail, as did many of my parent friends. But our children are already in the schools. So what I'd like to see are these beautifully illustrated flyers that I'm sure are expensive to produce in the hands of prospective parents. How do we do a better job of doing that? Because postage, sending to parents that are already registered, enrolled in this, that I just think we need to have a targeted way to.
What we do is a combination of things. So you're receiving it because you not only are a parent, but you're also within the category of someone who has kids between the ages of this and that. Okay, so we can actually send out to the community, to all households that have kids between the ages of this and that. And so we're not just sending to, our goal constantly is not to talk to ourselves. We do need to reinforce, so we do need to talk to ourselves to a certain degree so that when someone else talks to them, they don't wander off. But we also need to talk outside of ourselves. So again, we mail outside of just our folks to people who have kids within the appropriate age range. We also target, we put these up on the Facebook page and boost them accordingly. And they're also posted on the website. We can do a mailer that hits the entire district, but again, we're trying to be targeted in terms of our funds.
I had the exact same question or concern that Ms. Travanti just voiced now. And I don't feel that you have answered her question, which is also my question, because it seems as though the beautiful mailers that you did a wonderful job on, that really were impressive, went to everybody. It went to me, who doesn't need one, because I'm on the school board. It went to me for a school that my children just graduated from. It went to all of my neighbors who don't have children, who have children that are graduating, vacant apartments. So I don't feel that you sufficiently answered her question, which is, how are you going to do a better job in the future in refining that? Because it did seem to be a blanket. So I feel, and I felt when I got it in the mail a few months ago, that it was a extraordinary waste of resources to have blanketed that. And I would like a more clear answer on how you are going to more refine that.
Well, we can talk about what that list looks like, and I'm happy to have that conversation because the wonderful thing about doing any sort of mailing or emailing at this point is that we really have a lot of resources. And so I can take another look at what that list looks like. Was it the entire district? Was it specific areas within the district? Because that may have happened as well. We can take a look at that. We can and refine that accordingly. So again, what we can do from a mail perspective, because there's a variety of ways to get it out. Digitally, it's posting it, pushing it out, etc. But from a mail perspective, we can refine the lists that we work with from the mail house in order to ensure that we're hitting a very specific population. And then we can have a conversation about what you want that population to look like, because I think we're erring on the side of more is better than less. But again, it's we're happy to refine that and really drill it down accordingly. Does that help?
Yes, that helps. And just to throw out an idea,
I'm open.
If you're going to print a certain amount of these flyers, maybe we should look at it in a different way and not mail them out, but actually have a school fair, much like job fairs, where you have every school site represented in a location, and you invite the community and neighboring communities, and that could be through social media. That doesn't have to be, a mailer or anything. And you showcase your programs that way in person, and maybe we grab a few new students that way, because I don't think that mailing to our current enrolled families is going to hit the mark and bring in the new students.
I would like to see something. We do a significant amount of marketing in our company. We always put a call to action in our advertisements, whatever we're putting out. We'll put a call to action. And if we could put a call to action even on our website, now I can't quite think what we would do as a school district to encourage you to click, but if there is, we can figure that out. I'm talking, that would something that we spend more time with than shooting from the hip. But I think that's what we need, because, and I understand impressions, I understand all that, but are we selling quarter pounders to people who are going to buy a quarter pounder anyway? That's the question on the table. I want to make sure that there are people out there that are hungry for a quarter pounder know they can get one here.
Okay.
That is the difference. So we don't know. We know people are looking, but are they reacting and acting with our stuff? And that's something that we do not know. You do know if we had a cute video, someone say, hey, look at this. But are they really interacting with it or not? And that's why a call to action would be so important. That way you know, too, if you did a mailing and it triggered a number of responses, that was a very effective piece of mail, because these people had to do something with it once they got it. They were directed to do something. Okay. So I think that we should look at that next year, and that way we would know we were being effective with what it is that we were doing.
Okay. Sure, that's a great idea.
All right, other questions or comments on what VRA's done and how we might configure that in the future?
I just wanted to add that sharing is caring. So part of this, the graphs that you showed right here is the important element there is you're producing the product, but how it gets shared on social media is critical because that's, much more far reaching. So I know I do my part. So I'm hoping everybody else here, we all have to be ambassadors for our district. So just wanted to add that comment.
I'm going to take a cue from the previous presenter and say, please feel free to share. Go on the Facebook page and please click and share the information from the district because it really does benefit the district. It benefits the kids when they see themselves on these videos, in these photos. And, as soon as you share it, it opens that video, that photo up to all of your various friends. So, please do so. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on the extension of this or the renewal of this contract? If not, could I have a motion to?
I'll make the motion. Oh, sorry.
I want to discuss the price of this agreement.
Now's the time.
The estimated annual cost is $135,385. That is an extraordinary amount of money. I'm sure it is necessary and you do a wonderful job and I appreciate your hard work and you are worth charging that. I don't believe we can afford that.
Okay, anybody else?
Well, I'll take a stab at this. 135 divided by 12. It's about $11,000 a month, round numbers. I don't think we can afford not to do it. We did not do it for a long time. It was huge. We used to get people weekly, for me, complaining that they didn't know what was going on in the school district. It takes about 2 students a month staying in our school district to pay for this. It's 2 a month. And when you look at that, you go, how many people did we lose because they didn't know what we had going on here? Because we had no way of speaking to the community. And so this was born from we're failing to communicate with the people who own this thing, okay? Because that's their money. And we have no way of knowing how to do that. So we reached out to the world to say, who can help us get our message out to the community that this is what we have going on? And VMA was the bright, shiny light on the hill that we looked at the time. I think they continue to be the bright, shiny light on the hill. I think the money that we spend for what it is that we're getting is money that is well spent. And here's my litmus test. If a resident would come to me and say, Rob, you spent this much money, how does it benefit our kids? That's the litmus test, and I can answer it very easily by saying, by making sure that you know the value of what it is that you own and send your children to, creates more value from it than if you did not have it. It's a secret. We have a secret here, and we didn't tell anybody. And I'll tell you, I think Maritza was a product of it. She came from Arcadia. Now, everybody tells Arcadia's story, but who tells Arcadia's story better than Arcadia does? Nobody. Arcadia tells her story. We had nobody telling our story, least of us. We didn't tell our story. And so I don't think we're second-class citizens to anybody. I think what we have to offer here, contrary to a couple of things that we have heard in the past, is that we do have world-class schools for world-class students. I absolutely believe that in my heart, and I'm not embarrassed to say it. I'm proud of the work that we do here, and I think that when we go out here and our social media and everything that we do in the public is saying, I am proud of what happens here. And it costs us money to get that word out.
I-
And if you try to get a staff member to do it, which is your other alternative, you could bring it in-house and say, I need you to have these skills. I need you to have marketing skills. I need you to have social media skills. I need you to be able to have photographic skills. I need to have writing skills, most importantly. I need all these skills. How many people do I need to be able to do that? And how much would that cost you?
Well, I think before we vote on something like this, we need to evaluate just that question that you asked. And we also need to evaluate one of the reasons that it is written here that we brought VMA into the district is to help us battle the declining enrollment. And so we also don't have numbers on how effective VMA has been with that. Just a minute.
I'm not going to answer.
And
moving.
that's a very difficult thing to analyze because public relations and marketing isn't going to prevent someone's rent from going up. So it's very hard to determine whether a marketing and PR firm has helped curb the declining enrollment. That's a very hard statistic, but one of the reasons that they were brought on by the previous board was to help tell our story, to help curb declining enrollment, and as you mentioned, let people know about the new programs that we have, and specifically with DI at Wild Rose, and the Santa Fe and the Code to the Future and the Santa Fe at Santa Fe, and that has been accomplished. I don't disagree with you that any school district, especially our school district, needs marketing and needs public relations. What I mentioned is that I don't believe we can afford spending $135,000 a year on that. I would like to look at how much it would cost to do in-house. I would like to look at how the work that VMA has done has helped battle declining enrollment. And I would like to look at, one of the things that, here's all these pieces of paper that talk about social media and social media and social media. I'm on social media, grudgingly, and I see lots of things that say what's going on at, this school or that school, or this happened or that happened, and I don't see VMA there. So when we're talking about disseminating information and telling our story, there are people that I see on social media that don't hear our story because they still have questions about something in the schools. So this is just one facet of the social media report that we're getting. So we're getting social media that is contrived by VMA, not all of the social media that is out there. So I don't know if they are $135,000 effective.
May I?
Please.
Fair statement. The question becomes, can you bring it in-house by the time you get through paying an hourly wage and all the benefits? I will tell you, if you took the disciplines that I outlined a few minutes ago, you're probably talking 3 employees, minimum of 3 employees. And a marketing person, they're probably, and I'm shooting from the hip, because we employ outside because it's too expensive for us to do inside. You're probably talking a $75,000 base salary person. That's before you get into the benefit side. And then they become an employee forever in a school district. So after a couple of years.
Oh, wait, are you talking about hiring a
You bring it
district
in,
employee?
you bring it in-house.
Okay, well, because I was talking about having current employees.
Okay, we tried that, and I don't like the words, we tried that and it failed. We literally tried that. We don't have anybody with the skill set. It's a specific skill set that you need, particularly the person who is writing. That is the key to this, is how do they tell your story for you? That's what they're doing. Now, if you had a particular, you were a great writer, okay, well, what is it that you do for the school district? My job definition of the school district is, and I'm just going to put this out there, is I am a classroom teacher. Just going to put this one out there. Well, that does not include, if you looked at the scope of work, to now be the writer for this. That is a whole different job description. So you would not be able to go over and do that. You could quit your teaching job and go do this one, but you would not be
You
able to.
talking about
on
writing
both.
for
Absolutely.
for
Right.
marketing public
Right.
relations?
That would not be within, or I could volunteer to do it, I guess. But then how do you hold them accountable when they volunteered?
Do you think that we could tell our story to the people that we need to tell it, get the message out there in a pared down scope?
No, I don't. And here's why, Celine. For years and years, we heard a vision of Monrovia schools that was very negative. In particular, Santa Fe. It's like Santa Fe is the scourge of the earth. That was the feeling around this community for years. And we tried for years to get the message out there with the overworked staff trying to do it as a sideline because their main job is getting our kids educated, getting our teachers paid, doing those things that we hired them to do. We tried adding this on, and our superintendent was spending so much time on that job. But Kathy isn't a marketer. She's not a publicist. She's not a journalist. And while she did her best and did some good work, there is nothing that substitutes for professional quality materials that we're putting out from this district right now. And the staff in here don't know who we need to contact. We can't just go hang door hangers on doors in Arcadia here, Duarte. And we need some professionals, so we either have to hire a professional, which personally I think at some point we need to get to, but we're not there yet. Or we need to hire them through contract, or we need to hire them as employees. And we need to get that message out on social media. We need to get it out in printed media. We need to get it out at events. And I'm extremely pleased with what VMA has done for the last several years in those three aspects. And I see the Monrovia High School stuff all the time on social media. So I'm not sure
Ed,
why I got the links and other people don't. Maybe we need to find out and share those things. But in this day and age, where Duarte's got a performing arts school, Arcadia steals some of our folks for their performing arts program, it's very, very important that the people in Monrovia that don't go to school here get the message of what's available here.
People in Monrovia who don't, people who in Monrovia who go to other schools?
Right. Yeah.
If I could add, when you're finished,
Sure.
if I could add another a layer here. So I do follow social media quite a bit, and I follow other districts, and I see what they're doing. All the area districts I am following either on Twitter, Facebook, or both, and I'm seeing what they're doing. If we back out of this agreement, we are going to be lost in a sea of other districts that do have professional marketing groups. We will go dark. That is the method that other districts are using. So just keep that in mind, that it's a critical tool, and I believe we need to have it here in our district.
Mr. Wong.
So all of the comments that we've heard, I think, are very, very valid. I think Celine's comments are absolutely critical, which is anytime we expend money, there needs to be accountability. There needs to be a discussion. People need to know where our money is going and why. So I think in this conversation is difficult because it's not a direct correlation of test scores or ongoing populations or anything else. It's very, very difficult to see. As Ed mentioned, we have new schools popping up in Duarte. We don't know where those kids are coming from. We got to speak to parents specifically because we were trying to retain them. But as they're going to private schools, it's hard to see. But the underlying question in my mind is the important question of, we retained for a very specific purpose initially, which was to reduce our runoff of kids. And although it's really hard to say, the way that I've been looking at it as a bigger picture, not just our district, but if we look at the surrounding districts and how those districts have done, I think that our runoff is less than what we had anticipated based on past performances. Now, what's that attributed to? Well, I would like to think that the bottom line is the quality of the product that we put out, right? But why are people giving us that additional chance when maybe they didn't in the past? I'm not really sure, not really positive what it is. But I think we could all agree that the number of unique programs that Monrovia has is staggering. The quality of work that we put out is just staggering. And if you could hold up the volume, just for a second, of how much stuff is getting put out. I mean, that is just a lot of work, just to document what we've done. Now, we currently, as the reality is, our revenue streams continue to shrink. The amount of work that we put on each individual staff member increases. We continuously strive to keep any kind of cuts out of classrooms. We try to make sure and focus all of our time, energy, and money is at the bottom line, which is our kids. And my concern is, as we continue to try to maintain our focus, things that seem peripheral, like this additional work, are going to get cut if we keep it in-house. Those additional job duties that are going to get passed on to specific people are going to get cut, because those are all the jobs that are always the first to go. So I look at that and I say, wow, that's really kind of a brutal scenario. What is the actual cost? Then I look at it from a cost-benefit standpoint of how many students do we need to retain? Not even gain, but retain, when it's actually less than 2 a month. So we look at that and we're saying, wow, so if we retain 10 to 15 students a year, that pays for it in full. Well, I'm willing to bet that we retain that many people. There's nothing to base that on other than me talking to family, friends in the area, and their level of comfort with what's going on. How many things have they gone to? How many plays have they gone to? How many sporting events have they gone to? And I think the product that we put out is fantastic. I think it's getting better known. My biggest problem is not the content that's being generated or even the cost. It's our inability to take that content and distribute it through our own website, through our own portals, in which every single parent goes to at some point in time to get all of that information. That's my problem. My problem is that we're not spending enough money on the stuff that we control, the infrastructure, to deliver that phenomenal amount of work to anybody and everybody who wants to see it. Because if you don't get a link, you're not going to find it. Whereas they should be able to go to whatever school, hey, I heard there was a production at wherever, Wild Rose. They have to go search. They shouldn't search. They should know exactly where to go. Exactly.
It should be on our website.
Absolutely.
And if we're spending $135,000+, why can't that money go to have all of that information on our website?
Well, we need to have a better delivery system. In the business world, you have content providers, right? So you have the Disneys, the movie studios, and then you have distribution channels. You have the Netflix of the world. We've got all this content, and we don't have a fantastic Netflix. We don't have the great way to get it out there. And that's where I would like to see some of our time and resources spent to make sure we get this. Now, as far as the amount of content, you have to understand, we started from scratch. We had a bunch of ideas, we gave a bunch of directions, I don't know that we really knew what we were asking for completely. We had ideas what we were asking for. We didn't know what it cost. We didn't know how long it was going to take. We didn't know what was entailed. But I felt like we had to start somewhere. So every time we have these discussions, I think we can whittle down the focus on what we should be spending time and energy on. And I don't think that we had a very good idea what was productive and what wasn't productive, because we didn't do anything. So I agree in the sense that we're spending a lot of money. Can we spend less money? I think every single year that we go through this, we have a better picture of what we should be spending money on and what we shouldn't be spending money on. So I would agree with you in that sense that, yes, that's a lot of stuff. Yes, it's all great. Is it all necessary? Maybe not. Maybe not. But we need to have a better way to identify what we think was productive on a cost basis. Because I'm with you 100%. I'm all about the money. I'm all about making sure that we're getting value for our dollar and accountability for that dollar. This is a little bit tough, so you have to, it's a little fuzzy.
To find the accountability,
To
because
find
you,
that-
like you said, you
it
don't have
is.
test scores.
It is. But some of these things, like Rob mentioned, these calls to actions in which you can actually see what is going on, what kind of feedback are we getting from this. If we had our own website, we could see, we could count how many people are coming to these things. I mean, I think our content is great now. Now we need to do a better job of determining what works and what doesn't work. Where do we spend our resources and where don't we spend our resources? My huge concern is, if we don't have an outside company that does it, everything will stop. It won't slow down, it's gonna stop. Because whoever we have it doing it in-house is gonna have to learn. First, they're gonna have to review everything we've already done, then they're gonna have to come up with a game plan that's different and less expensive than what's already being done. And I don't know that we can do that. I mean, I think our staff is phenomenal, but nobody in my mind is popping to the forefront to say, I want to reassign Fred Smith from our English department to do this full time. There's just nobody that I can see doing this. So I do think all of these points are incredibly valid. I do think that every single year we should have very specific points that we're trying to do. I think as a board, it's our responsibility to have some benchmarks and guidelines of what we want to see, because you're right, this is really kind of tough. We put it out there, but how are we actually going to evaluate that? So maybe we come up with some kind of an evaluation for the upcoming year.
Well, Brian, I think it's going to be hard for us to come up with some kind of evaluation until we really decide what it is. I totally agree with what you said. We've just been kind of feeling our way through this. What's gonna work? We kind of know the results we want, and my feeling is that the public perception out there has changed because of what these folks are doing. And people are saying, oh, come to Monrovia schools because they're great and great things are happening. And I'm convinced like you that we've retained a lot more than 2 kids. But it's probably time for this board to spend some time talking about what our goals are for our public relations effort, and how we're going to measure how that, how we're doing on meeting those goals. And Ms. Lockerbie, I absolutely think it's important this board look at every dollar we spend and think about it. And like Mr. Wong said, I feel very strongly that if we don't have VMA for 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months while we try to define all of that, that it's going to stop and we will lose more ground than we made up. So I really believe that we need this contract, but I also believe over the next year we need to fine tune what it is we're looking for and what the costs to get that are.
Can we,
Go ahead.
can we table this until we have
No.
a deeper discussion?
No, the agreement expires next Monday. if we
What
don't-
happens if it lapses? Can't we reinitiate it in a month or 2 months or 3 months?
And in the meantime, we've got nothing. Yeah, I mean, if we're willing to go a certain period of time without a public relations program, we could.
What would you be doing for us in the next 3 weeks in terms of marketing and public relations?
This is a critical time because what we're doing is laying the groundwork for the coming year. So we have a variety of, as we begin to refresh different components, we begin to look at plans, we begin to ensure that, because there are some folks who still haven't decided where their kids are going to go to school, believe it or not. So we're pushing out a lot of content, both via social media, as well as through the media. We have a nice working relationship with the local newspapers where we're pushing out information. Of course, the e-blasts continue. The superintendent's update is critical for both internal and external communications. I believe we have a newsletter that we're going to be pushing out within the next month and a half.
Do you get all of the things that she mentioned? The only thing that I receive is the superintendent's update. I don't get blasts.
Oh, I get them.
I get the email blast, I get the.
any social media,
I do.
anything from Monrovia Unified School District. God help me, I don't remember my, what's that one? Instagram, I don't remember Instagram. I don't get Twitter updates, I don't get anything. The only thing that I get are the superintendent reports.
I'll share the Facebook
I
page
get
with
them
you
all.
so you can start giving it.
Yeah, and
there's
Facebook
a lot of
algorithms
stuff.
are really strange. So
Yeah.
if you don't like or share something for a while, then it kind of falls off your news feed. Yeah,
I'm
so you have to
socially
actually go
irrelevant.
searching for it.
So you're saying I'm socially irrelevant? Okay.
No, not at all.
Okay.
But the other thing is, you ask, what don't we get? And I don't remember ever getting a mailer.
I
I'm not a
am
mailer.
completely
I don't fit that
100% off of
demographic.
all social media. I mean, 0. So I can't comment to that, but I don't get any kind of mailers.
I don't.
I get them from other schools. I get them from other districts.
Email? You mean email or actual
Snail mail?
physical?
Snail mail.
Snail mail.
Door hangers?
Yeah.
I thought we had some sort of relationship with the other school districts, that they wouldn't come into our turf, we wouldn't go into their turf.
Gentleman's agreement,
That is-
people's agreement.
Kind of an agreement among professionals, and so
Someone's
the one
violating
that
that.
Mr. Wong referenced is one that I've also addressed. It won't happen again. It hasn't since.
Oh.
And here's another thing that VMA is working on and has already done considerable work, and that is our inaugural State of the Schools address. They're preparing a vignette for that, and along with a lot of marketing products, and that's scheduled for later this year. So not having someone in place at this point is going to be a big loss for our kickoff State of the Schools address. I'm just letting you know there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes on that already.
I would say they get paid on an hourly rate. They have a monthly retainer. I don't think that in the next month or two, we would have them change scope of work at all at this point, because we haven't had the discussion, right? But if we have the discussion in the next month or two, then I think we can change the scope of work that we want them to do. My personal thinking is, it's not the dollar amount that concerns me as much as the fact that we're spending the money effectively. Because again, cost benefit is 1 to 2 kids. That's ridiculously low. Just dollar and cents. Not talking about the goodwill, not talking about anything else. Just straight dollar and cents. At $10,000 a kid versus $12,000 a month is, I'll take that. Right? But I share your concern of, are we spending the money efficiently and effectively? And I do think that we have not, as a group, sat down to redefine what our goals are in a while. I mean, I think we've done it informally.
With respect to
one-on-one.
this.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we have done the
Right.
other.
No,
but-
exactly.
Just with respect to the public
No,
relations program.
exactly. I
Yeah.
think we've all done it one-on-one with Kathy at various times, given opinions, like this, don't like this, whatever. But as a group, I don't think we've sat down in a really long time to say what our primary focuses are and how we're gonna do it. I do think we should be doing that, honestly, and maybe this is the great call to action for us
That's it.
to.
What I want to
do
say, and I want to thank Celine for bringing this up, you brought up a very valid point.
Yeah.
I thank you for bringing it up. The discussion here is a very good discussion. If nothing else, it proves to the folks at home, we didn't sit in the back and cook up an answer to a question and come out here and rubber stamp anything. There's actually people here that have their own opinion and have thought through the process on their own, and that is, to me, that is great government, okay? And it's government in action, and I love that part. I absolutely love it. That's why I like sitting here. I think, I too feel that the dollars and cents that are on here are well worth it, and I'm not sure that we could get a product. In fact, no, I'm guaranteeing we would not have a product to the level that we're getting now if we would bring this in-house and try to save money. I'm sure of it.
I think, Brian alluded to it if he didn't outright say it. If we are actually not declining as rapidly, who's to say that's not because of our dashboard? Because our dashboard is starting to look wonderful, and as you specifically mentioned, one of the best ways that we can retain our students is by doing better, by doing what we're doing and continuing to grow and improve as we are doing. And I think,
And therein lies the problem with trying to come up with a matrix of how would we evaluate that.
this.
Because we're doing so many things right. Which of those things? But we know that all of them together are producing the results that are beneficial to this district and the kids of Monrovia.
Okay, I'm just gonna add one last thing, and that is, how many of our parents are going to Facebook, and how many of them are going to the Sacramento page dashboard?
California dashboard?
The dashboard for education. We do have, I'm sure, a small population that will be checking that often, but it's not that often. And if we're pumping out a lot of information, I mean, education or schools, when you're a parent, you're very centric to your school site. You know what's going on in your school site, but do I know what's going on at the high school or the other elementary schools or the middle schools? Unless I have a student there or a family member there, I may not know what's going on. And that's what's so wonderful about the marketing programs, that you know everything. And if you happen to have a friend that lives in Pasadena and is thinking of relocating to Monrovia, you can now sell the programs that are at each school site, not just your school site, but all the school sites. I'm done.
The last thing, the only thing that I can reference,
Promise.
the only thing that I can reference
she got
is
the last
how you tell whether something is working or not, and this is just a singular item, just by coincidence. When I'm looking at our little social media report, the 1 month in which we don't pay for anything, the results just go in the tank. They just go in the tank. I mean, there's something to be said.
Social media.
Yeah, but
isn't test scores.
the concept is how do you get this message out, right? So all of these, it's the same scores, it's the same schools, it's the same everything. The only difference is we have a concerted, paid effort to reach as many people to get this message out as we can. We try it for 1 month in which we don't do anything, just to see whether it'll carry its own water, so to speak, and it doesn't.
Yeah,
It didn't. Now granted, this is an incredibly
This is
tiny
May.
sample. This is, it's not even the exact same thing. I'm just saying, we're going in the right direction, and unless I have a real game plan on why I want to change course that might drop me, I'm hesitant. I'm not saying I won't do it, but I'm hesitant.
I'm going to go out one more limb here, and I spend an exorbitant amount of money advertising my business. And I'm not going to get into the dollars and cents here, but believe me, I don't have the budget that the Monrovia Unified School District has. Not even close. But to get your message out where people are seeing it is incredible, just to be able to get it seen. But we're missing one thing, and we're not talking about it. And we can't act as if it's not important. It's called pride. Seeing your school, seeing your students, seeing the students that go to school with your student doing well gives you pride. And when you have pride in something, you now have ownership, you're vested in it. And when you go out and you start talking, you become the ambassador of the school. That is what we call that is word of mouth advertising. And that's incredible. It is incredibly hard to get. It is incredibly expensive to get people to start being your ambassador. But once they become your ambassador, you will have a person who will walk out and tell people this stuff. So that if they're in that crowd and somebody has a differing point of view because they're talking about their school district or program or whatever it may be, they have a way to counter it. And we need to be there in that conversation. And this provides the tool to be in that conversation.
I want to ask you a question if I can.
Of course.
And I'm putting you on the spot, and I apologize, and you might not know. You could probably do it, though. Do you know what would happen, what would come up first if I Googled Monrovia Unified School District?
Well, we do that pretty regularly.
What's the first thing
And
that comes
it's
up?
usually the school district website.
The school district website.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a great point, which is why, as I said when we were discussing, what we're trying to do now is coordinate with the Google Analytics to figure out what the rate is of people actually going to the website, because we're seeing with other districts that that's pretty consistent, that people are going to we're driving them to the website. So what I'm hearing is that, there is a real desire to maybe spruce that up, make it more effective, and that's absolutely aligned with some of the work that we can do. That's not a problem.
And the first thing that I do when I talk pridefully about Monrovia to other parents that are considering switching schools is send them to the dashboard. I don't send them to our Facebook page. I don't send them to our Twitter page. I send them to the dashboard. And they go, oh, wow. And then they compare their school and they go, wow, you guys are so much better. I'm
Right.
done.
Celine, your message and the questions are not incorrect. They're good questions and good concerns. But there is a reason why McDonald's still advertises their McMenu. Well, there's a reason why. It's to retain their market share, and we're trying to retain our market share.
Yeah.
That is a critical. They're nuances we don't talk about. But McDonald's doesn't decrease their advertising budget. No, in fact, when they started seeing less people coming through their front door, they started advertising more. It's retain your market share. And the more people in this community that know what's going on in our school district, the better this district is, the more accountable we have to be towards them, because we're not working and acting in a vacuum or in the dark. So.
Just one quick note is that we do post everything on the website in latest news. Now, whether you can get yourself to latest news, I mean, again, there's some organization issues that, again, we can help you with. But everything is posted on the website so that it is that font of information for anyone looking to access the information.
All right, has everybody had their last word?
There's a discussion after we take a motion in a second, right?
No, we haven't had a motion or a second.
No, we have
not. That's the way
We did not get a motion or a second.
you watch most,
I'm going
most
to make
school
a
boards
motion.
take the motion and second before they have the discussion. But
That would be
whatever.
wrong, but
Wow.
I will make a
In any
motion.
case, are you ready to make that motion?
I'm
Mr.
making a
Hammond?
motion that we accept the contract to VMA.
And I'm going to second.
All right. Ms. Huff, would you
Board
take
Member
the vote?
Lockerbie,
I appreciate the work that VMA has done, and I agree with everyone on this board that we should continue to sell ourselves loud and proud, but I believe that the cost is too exorbitant, and my vote therefore is no.
Board Member Travanti,
Yes.
Board Member Hammond,
Yes.
Board Member Wong,
Yes, but at this point in time, I want to put a study session on so we can.
Do it under new business. Is that okay?
Works.
Or pending board issue?
Yes.
Board President Gilliland.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-1.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate your work. All right, moving on to the second agenda. No, to the consent agenda. Could I have a motion?
I'm sorry, say it again, please.
We're moving on to the consent agenda.
Move consent.
Second.
Ms. Huff, please take the vote.
Board Member Travanti,
Yes.
Board Member Hammond,
Yes.
Board Member Wong,
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie,
Yes.
Board President Gilliland.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, then, where are we at here? All right, moving on over to action items. Educational Services, Dr. Kaiser, would you like to present the Local Control Accountability Plan, please?
Thank you, Board President Gilliland. The board is requested to adopt the Local Control Accountability Plan. The LCAP is an important component of the local control funding formula, and under the LCFF, all LEAs are required to prepare an LCAP, which describes how districts intend to meet annual goals for all pupils with specific activities to address state and local priorities identified pursuant to the Ed Code 52060D. A public hearing to discuss the plan was held on June 12th, 2019 at the board meeting. Our LCAP explains the expenditures in our supplemental and concentration plan to the amount of $6,141,597. And this funding is targeted for our subgroups, our English language learners, socioeconomically disadvantaged students, free and reduced lunch price meal students, and foster youth. And while these are the targeted students, these funds also provide programs for all students in our district. A copy of the Local Control Accountability Plan will be found on the Ed Services Department portion of the website at www.monroviaschools.net.
Questions or comments?
The last board meeting, there was a extensive overview of the LCAP plan. So I always try to do this when we're at the end of the year. This is not something that the board has not spent hours and hours upon. There are 6 public meetings leading up to the information being consolidated and being presented to the board for consideration. So this is a thing that starts in March, and it culminates to the fact that we have to vote on it here in June. And so while there may not be lengthy discussion tonight, it is not because we did not take this very seriously and take all parties' concerns and questions into consideration. And with that, I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Huff, please take the vote.
Board Member Hammond,
Yes.
Board Member Wong,
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie,
Yes.
Board Member Travanti,
Yes.
Board President Gilliland.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, Dr. Kaiser, would you also present the LCAP federal addendum?
Yes, indeed, Board President Gilliland. The Board of Education is requested to approve the Local Control Accountability Plan Federal Addendum. The Federal Addendum encompasses 4 programs. Our Title I program, which brings $1,092,000 into the district. The Title II program that brings $172,000. The Title III program, which brings $71,000, and the Title IV program, which brings $69,000, for a total of $1,419,000. These programs, I'll outline them very briefly. Title I funding goes to our elementary schools and Canyon Oaks. These are the 6 schools in our districts that qualify for the Title I program. And the funds are allocated to the district based on our free and reduced lunch numbers. Our Title II program is a professional development fund. So the district receives $172,000 a year to provide professional development, and part of these funds go for our BITSA program to subsidize the BITSA program for our new teachers. Our Title III program, which is brings $71,000, is for our English language learners, and it's very specific to just the English language learners. And Title IV is for well-rounded education. This is a new fund that we received this year. And so these 4 funds are an addendum to our LCAP that follow along the same goals of our 3 goals of our LCAP.
Questions or comments? Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Huff, please take the vote.
Board Member Wong,
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie,
Yes.
Board Member Travanti,
Yes.
Board Member Hammond.
Yes.
Board President Gilliland.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, moving on to business services. Ms. Wu, would you present the resolution regarding the education protection account?
Yes, good evening, Board President Mr. Glennon and Board of Education, Superintendent Dr. Trozen, and Kevin and the staff member. Proposition 30 and Proposition 55 was approved by California voters several years ago to increase the personal income tax for high earners. The additional income tax collection state will deposit in the state special fund called the Education Protection Account. The district is projected to receive next year is over $7.9 million. But however, this is not additional money. And the money deposited in the Education Protection Fund will offset dollar by dollar the district receive from state and local control funding formulas. However, the Proposition 30 and the Proposition 55 require the district's governing board to determine the use of the funding in an open section of the public meetings. So the district plan is, as usual, we will spend the funding on the teacher's salary and benefit.
Any questions or comments? Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Huff, please take the vote.
Board Member Lockerbie,
Yes.
Board Member Travanti,
Yes.
Board Member Hammond,
Yes.
Board Member Wong,
Yes.
Board President Gilliland.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, Ms. Rule, would you please present the adopted budget for 2019-20?
Yes, Mr. Gilliland, in last board meeting, the Business Service Department presented the 1920 adult budget, and in the regular board meeting, the board conducted a public hearing for district next year's proposed budget. And through the tightening the staffing and the budget cut, the district were able to present a balanced budget for board approval for the 1920 adult budget. So once the governor signed the state 1920 budget, the district will revise our budget within 45 days and present it for board approval.
Here again, as Mr. Hammond said, this is another one of those things we've spent hours on getting to this point. Any questions or comments? Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Huff, please take the vote.
Board Member Travanti,
Yes.
Board Member Hammond,
Yes.
Board Member Wong,
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie,
Yes.
Board President Gilliland.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Ms. Wu, would you present the resolution to authorize temporary interfund cash borrowing?
Sure. The district various funds received the state money at a different time and a different schedule. But however, our obligation to pay our bill is ongoing on every month. So each district fund require have a positive cash balance. By board approve this resolution, allow the district timely transfer money within the district so that make sure that the district meet the requirement to have each fund have a positive cash balance.
If only the state would give us what they say they're going to and give it when we're supposed to get it. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Is there any comment or question?
That was a good comment.
Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Board Member Hammond,
Yes.
Board Member Wong,
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie,
Yes.
Board Member Travanti,
Yes.
Board President Gilliland.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Ms. Wu, the resolution to authorize temporary transfers.
Yeah, board, this resolution actually follow up the last resolution. In case the district don't have enough cash cover our fund balance, the county gave us the opportunity to borrow from its treasurer to cover the balance. This is just as need basis, and the district have never used these options.
We have borrowed money to pay our bills, though.
Yes,
Just not this one.
that's
Not
right.
this one,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We spent about $91,000 paying interest on money that we had to borrow a couple years ago.
And let me
That's
see,
correct.
why didn't we have the money? Oh, yeah, the state.
right, the
didn't give it
state.
to us on
That's right.
time. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Could I have a motion, please?
so moved.
Second.
Ms. Huff?
Board Member Wong,
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie,
Yes.
Board Member Travanti,
Yes.
Board Member Hammond,
Yes.
Board President Gilliland.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Ms. Wu, the agreement for transportation services with Dorothy.
Yes, the board and the City of Diwali Park and Recreation Department requests the district to provide transportation service for their summer camp. And this agreement allows us to provide such service, and the city will reimburse us our bus driver hours as well as the $2.50 per mile for the transportation. This will cover our fuel cost and the bus maintenance.
Questions or comments?
I'd like to thank staff for the addition of the of the other language that was in this contract.
Yes, Ms. Wu, can you let the public know what you expect to yield from this contract, and also the time frame involved, how many buses may be involved,
Yeah, sure.
drivers?
Yeah, actually, that's the reason why we ask the board to ratify the service starting today, and it only require one bus, and it's a 10-day services based on the schedule the city provided us. We anticipate that will bring additional revenue around $5,000.
And also, I think it's important to mention that it's our bus driver.
That's correct.
It's our bus driver, and we're charging for wear and tear. And-
Yes.
And mileage also, yes?
That's correct. It's $2.50 per mile.
From the time they leave the yard.
That's correct.
All right, could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Huff?
Board Member Lockerbie,
Yes.
Board Member Travanti,
Yes.
Board Member Hammond,
Yes.
Board Member Wong,
Yes.
Board President Gilliland.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, moving on to pending board issues. Mr. Wong, I believe you wanted to add a study session to that for our public information program?
Yeah, I'm not sure it has to be a study session, but we need to have a focus on what our goals are for VMA or any other marketing outreach programs. And I would also like some kind of guideline on how we're going to evaluate success or failure, if that's possible. So, so we can talk about the metrics. I mean, it's very, very difficult. I think everybody understands it's not going to be a direct one-to-one type of test grade. But I think it would help all parties involved if we knew what we were trying to accomplish. And how do we determine that?
May I ask you, in doing this, could we also talk about the website, or is that a different beast? And
To
will
me,
it
that-
make
Oh,
it
it's
too
all part of, I think it's all
convoluted?
part of the same.
Absolutely, to me, it's
I
all
want
part
to
of
make
our
sure that
outreach.
then,
No,
at
I
that
agree.
point,
Thank you.
we
That-
also talk about our website and
Right, I mean,
how
although
we
this,
can.
If it's all right with you guys, Dr. Therosian and I will work on a little scenario of what that discussion might look like, so we can get it out to you guys.
yeah, perfect. I mean,
And tweak it to where we need it to be.
the discussion was because of the VMA presentation, but that's just a piece of what we need
Right.
to focus on.
And perhaps use the thought exchange to ask questions to all, parents and guardians. Use thought exchange. How many times have you looked at our Facebook page? How many times, how many clicks, how many shared? Do you feel this is, something the district should continue to utilize? Just to have parent engagement and feedback.
So if anyone has issues in relative to public relations that weren't brought up in the discussion tonight, if you'd email them to me so we can make sure we.
Issues of, oh, you mean about this?
Public affairs, yeah. So we make sure we get a full range of what we want to cover in that.
Charles should input, yeah.
I'm taking notes on the website, so.
Oh, and on that thought exchange to staff as well, because it's important that they contribute to that. They're looking at social media too. So.
Okay. Anything else on pending board issues, Dr. T?
Yes, just a note about the state of the schools. The date will be changed. We are looking for an alternate date, so I wanted to make sure to announce that now, as it is also listed in
15th.
our old business, or excuse me, new business.
And let me see, you're working with Mr. Vonte and Mr. Hammond on, was that, okay, they're our board reps for that discussion.
Yes.
All right, anything else under pending issues? All right, moving on to old business. Our next 3 regular Board of Education meetings are on July 24th, August 14th, and August 28th at 7 p.m. And guess what? Summer school started yesterday, no, on the 13th.
I still think
Last week.
I still think it's the 13th too.
Yeah, well, I could say a lot of things. Anyway, it ends on July 11th, so you will see kids out and around the schools, so be careful when you drive. State of the schools address will be announced, the date for that. And unless anyone has any other new business, I will adjourn the regular Board of Education open meeting session at 8:50.